Soundstripe.
Welcome to South End Supporters, a St. Louis City SC podcast powered by Ready to Live Wellness and coming at you from the Warrior Logo Wear studio. David Heck alongside Eric Cole and the Monday morning center back Dave Wyckoff. The three of us are back at it finally. It's been weeks, it seems like, and we are about to break down what could only be described on Saturday night as an offensive juggernaut that was on display in Seattle. Boys, how are we this year? I feel like there's nothing good to talk about right now in St. Louis. I don't know.
Cardinals won a series.
They did. The Battlehawks won as well.
Cacaw is the law.
I hear it's the law, Dave.
Yeah.
I heard that once. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't know what else to talk about. I hit the superfecta and the trifecta at the Derby on Saturday. I think it was, right? That was very exciting. I was riding high, Dave. I was riding high. The Battlehawks won, I guess, at that point. I think. No, they played on Friday night, right? Mm-hmm. And so they won. I was excited about that. And then Saturday we hit the Derby, and I'm pumped for the soccer game. And then, of course, grab a PK right out the gate. And then it was downhill pretty much immediately following.
Yeah. I think you just described the whole weekend, to be honest. It
didn't get better.
No, it didn't. Just rolled into Monday just feeling like absolute garbage. But we press on. So we've got Union Omaha coming in on Wednesday, so we got to get this one out of the way and, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and then gear up because there's 2 more games in 4 days. So
those fighting owls from Omaha, Eric. We saw them 2 years ago now at this point.
Yeah, it's funny. Like if you would have looked earlier, about a month or 2 ago, we'd be like, thank God we got Union Omaha so we can keep this streak going. And now it's like, Jesus Christ, I hope we beat Union Omaha. Cause, man, it's just, yeah. The whole time I kept thinking hey, all 3 of us are back on the show. And it's like, none of us are going to want to even be here for it. It sucks. Just garbage weekend, man.
It just feels like it's the same. It's like a broken record at this point. It's the same stuff, City scored 8 goals this season in 12 games so far, I think it is. So it's just not improving at all. Not to quote Dave Sperry, but I think we need a goal scorer.
No, it's a lot more deeply rooted at this point. I hope you can effectively call this rock bottom, because absolutely everything fell apart after about the first 15 minutes of the game, which is a real shame because, like I said, the first 15 minutes, despite the lineup being set up not to win again, everything seemed to be going well. The ball was moving well, creating a couple chances, got the PK and finished it. And yeah, then it's just like Seattle decided that they were going to show up all of a sudden, and City decided that they were done for the week. So I don't know, a lot of issues. But the biggest issue that came out of this game, and this was a big discussion point on Twitter and Reddit, and then No Goal Patrol Discord. It looked like they just quit, and I think that's a much bigger issue than being a below average team at this point.
Well, I don't want to skip too far ahead, but the biggest issue that I saw, and I don't know if anybody else caught this, and maybe I'm just overreading it, but I even took a picture of it today when I was rewatching it back. When Leuven subbed on, and they had that gangle of subs, I think Nielsen came on at the same time. I forget who else came on. I don't know if anybody else caught this. Maybe I'm overreading it, but he goes over to Hartle and they have a little discussion, and Hartle almost looks kind of confused and almost like he says, really? And Leuven gives him a shrug, almost I don't know. And in my worry with that is Olaf losing the locker room? The fans, there's many coaches that I've known over the years that have lost fandom throughout the fans, but are still coaches and get results. The fans are just, expectations are too high or whatever it may be. So the fact that the fans don't like Olaf, that doesn't, the fans don't like everybody on the team. If there's somebody that doesn't like everybody, you can find them out there. So that doesn't bother me. The worry will be is if the locker room starts losing faith in Olaf. Like, and maybe I'm overreading it. It just feels like with the way results are going and then the play we saw, especially in that second half, it was so unorganized. It was so disheveled. I kept looking on the watching the game and thinking like, I don't know what system we're running right now. I don't know what formation we're in right now. It just looked like 11 guys, 10 guys on the field just kind of running in all different directions. There just didn't look any shape. I think Chat City Tactics put out a map of like our heat map passing, and it's just like triangles in our back half. Like there was no fluidity going forward. And my worry is again, has he lost like faith in the players? Like has he lost like, do they understand what he's looking to get out of them? And if there's still this far into the season, a big disconnect between the players and the coaching on what they're looking for these guys to do, that to me is the biggest issue. Like, yeah, I fully agree with like everybody that you just mentioned there. It did look like, man, they just kind of quit. There was a few moments where Hartle made runs, didn't receive the pass, and just put his head down and started walking. And that's really concerning if your captain is like almost looking like, he's just, over it. Like it's a worry if the players are giving up in the situation. But for me, the bigger concern is if the players just don't know what they're being asked of, or they don't understand why they're being asked of it. And to me, it almost looked like when he came in, Leuven, that is, it looked like he was saying, I'm going high and you're staying back. And I think both of them were like, are you sure? Like, shouldn't you be the one staying back and I'm going high? Like, again, it's just all from watching on the screen, but there looked to be a big amount of confusion between the two of them. And if you're looking for those two to be your most creative players on the field, that's where I'm real kind of worried, is if there's still just this big a disconnect between the players and the coach on what they're expected to do, what's going on, because it's starting to really show on the field.
It's an interesting call out, because is this not what happened with Bradley Carnell? I mean, I know we don't know the full story to that, but it certainly seemed like with what went on with Samuel Adeniran and some of the other players as well that were departed, it seemed like he had lost control of the locker room at one point too. So the fact that you bring that up, it's not that far removed from the last time something like this may have happened.
I don't ever recall thinking that team quit on Carnell, though. I thought Carnell just lost.
I agree with that.
Lost any influence on the style of play, and and I mean, maybe I'm splitting hairs there, but I don't think you could ever question any of those guys' effort, other than maybe there. Sam, and again, we didn't know what was going on, but it's brutal. It is brutal. I'm interested that you picked up on that, Eric. I did not notice that. The one thing I did notice about all those subs is they didn't make a damn bit of difference. Like it's almost like when they came in, it was more disheveled. Like, okay, now we're not playing in a low block and we're not playing conservative, but we still don't have the personnel, and we've been exposed at the back now, and we still can't hold the ball. So what are we doing here? Yeah, it was tough. It was a tough watch. I know a lot of people turned it off. But yeah,
the late
game. People stayed up for the late game, and that was what you put out there. And
I think, go ahead, Dave.
That's the last. Yeah, I don't know what this is gonna do, but for these next two games at home. But man, like I feel like we're gonna see some backlash over the next week or so.
Well, yeah, it's a great point. I would love to see what the Apple ratings were at different times during that game, because I do feel like it was probably pretty light, especially in the central time zone as things started to get a little bit later into that game, especially around like the 60th or so when things started to go real south. But it's an interesting point too, and I've been saying it for a while now, but you can just keep an eye. It doesn't take a genius, right, to look at the ticket prices for some of these games that are coming up. We talked a little bit about what SKC looks like. I think $50-ish is what you could get in to see SKC on SeatGeek right now. And if things don't turn around at home against San Diego on May 10th, that could be even lower. I never would have thought a year ago that you could get in to see an SKC game in at City Park. middle of the spring or trending summer, nice weather. Ideally, it hasn't been very nice so far, but thinking the weather could be pretty good there in May, and you could get in for $50 to see this game. Like, that's crazy when you think what it was. 100 to 120 was like the cheapest ticket at City Park at one point. So I don't know if it's a combination, probably is, of the newness wearing off a little bit, but people just don't want to support a product like this. And you see it in baseball. Go watch what a Cardinals crowd looks like today versus what it looked like a few years ago. Or, you name the team in town if the product is struggling and continues to struggle with no real sign of improvement. And I think that's where we're at right now. So there's definitely frustration. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think people want to just, fork over their cash to go watch maybe a goal, maybe not.
I think the price points are way too high. Let's just call that what it is right now. All the price points are way too high, especially by MLS standards. Like, I think it's time for this organization to kind of look at itself and be like, what the hell are we doing? Like, we've been gouged. I mean, let's call it what it is. You guys are both season ticket holders. Like, based on MLS averages and the product on the field, it's a gouge right now. And for whatever reason, the third-party markets don't react to results. And they're selling all these general admission tickets for Wednesday, and they're $40 a piece. There's no way in hell I'm paying $40 a piece to go watch that game. No way in hell. You're going to end up with less than half an empty stadium because you refuse to make proper reactions to the product that you're putting on the field.
That's not secondary though. That's a primary market.
That's what's going to be my point. That's them selling their tickets through SeatGeek for $40 a piece with a $15 fee on top of it. Hidden fees. We hate them.
Oh yeah, God. But I only do business, Dave, with companies that don't have hidden fees. That's right. Why I like doing business with.
That's right. Shout out Warrior Logo Wear. How at this point do you not have the self-awareness as an organization to kind of step back and say, hey, we need to kind of revisit this? Because, a family of four going to watch, a City game at this point and the entry price basically being $200 before parking, before food, before drinks, before whatever, it's kind of a joke. You're going to end up you're going to F around and find out is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think that, credit to the Cardinals in that situation, because with the dynamic pricing structure that they have, even though the product hasn't been very good in the last couple of years, you can go to a baseball game for relatively cheap. Now, the concessions are going to get you when you get in there, of course, but I'm not sure it's higher than City Park. City Park concessions are crazy high. Yeah. But you could get in, and you could go and buy 400 level tickets or even bleacher tickets sometimes and spend $5 to $10 a ticket. You see that quite a bit. When the Cardinals were really bad, what was it, like the end of last year or the year before, you could get in for like $1 or $2. So, it's like a way to maybe generate some additional interest. I think if tickets dropped, the problem is that most of the tickets at City Park are sold right now, right? Because the season ticket holders bought the majority of them. I don't know what the breakdown was there, but I don't think there's a ton that are available at the ticket office for the most part. So what you're seeing is that season ticket holders are trying to offload tickets, and I've certainly done it for the last few years, and many times have been an enormous profit whenever I needed to sell tickets. But now it's like I'm struggling, and granted, again, the weather's been terrible for almost every home game it seems like so far this year. But my tickets are 70. What are they? 70 or 75 face value, Eric? Somewhere in that ballpark for ours. I mean, I'm having
but that's the next point I brought up is like, if you re-up this year, they upped it again. Like, it's not like they came off a successful season. Like, to your guys' point, like, read the crowd. Like, at least come out with I would have been stoked on just hey, we're not doing anything. It's the same
Keep it
price
flat.
as last year. Yeah. Keep it the same. Like, they did that after the first season because they were like, let's see how it goes. And I know a lot of people were stoked on that. But I know a lot of people that I saw on the socials, like, if you didn't do that 3-year agreement and you just upped it to 1, like, some people were seeing 20%, 30% increase. Yeah. It's like, how are we still jumping that high? We've touched on it many years. The last thing you want to do, or for the past couple of years, last thing you want to do is outprice your fans. And, like, say you locked in for a 3-year and then, season keeps going the way it does and the next season does, and they decide for those single years, we're going to drop it way down. Then you have the 3-year people who just recommitted being like, wait a minute, I just upped my price. Like, and then you have disgruntled fans. Like, I don't know, why they chose to go another increase or whatever it is, I think and then, you're starting to see struggle with people, even offloading tickets for, there's a lot of times my wife doesn't go and I have a single ticket, which I know is already a tough sell, but like I'm practically, giving you
Oh
the
yeah.
ticket. You're almost paying the fee more than you are the ticket. And it's just, nobody wants to go. I think the other issue that we're seeing right now also, and I wish the organization would kind of realize it, is Dave, you brought up a good point earlier, is it's just the same old thing. Like if you watch, I mean, you could almost go to YouTube and type in post game press conference and it wouldn't matter what game it is. You're getting the same sort of just stuff thrown back at you. Yeah, I thought we looked good for these 15 minutes and then we just, whatever after. And you go to these games each week expecting, all right, that last 3 games, we've done the same thing and it hasn't worked. Surely they're going to try something new. And once we see the lineup, Dave, you text us right when the lineup comes out, and it looks like we're playing not to lose again. Like we can visually see it before the kickoff even starts. Like I think that's another issue that you're starting to see with these fans is like, at least with Carnell, I think with Carnell where he lost it is he lost a couple players, but I think it was more just playing time and the disagreements that he saw with playing time. I think with Sam especially, he had that little bit of run where he was scoring a little bit and Klaus was still getting the start. And I think there was a little bit of, hey, why is he getting the start when I'm scoring? That's where I think Sam the issue. I think it was more a player with playing time. Right now, I think it's more just like, we're doing this again. Like we want to go forward. We want to start playing with a little bit more freedom. And you're having us play, 5 at the back, hold the ball back. I don't know how many, parallel or trail passes our defense does every single week. There's just so when also you're throwing out literally the same product each week. And at least, like I said, if you're losing, but you're losing scoring 3 goals, that's at least an entertaining football. And I think you'd get fans in the stands there. But if you know that like there's a good chance that San Diego's coming to town and we're probably going to be, just seeing them score and we'd be happy to get 1 in the net, like not an attracting draw. At least Cardinal games or anything like that, you never know what you'll get. Arenado could pop off and hit 2 or 3 home runs in that game. City, I just don't feel like there's that, like, I feel like we're going to get 4 tonight sort of excitement that you almost saw like year 1.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing. And I think also to the point of the lineups, like how many City players scored goals? Sorry, former City players scored goals on Saturday night. There were like 3 or 4 of them, right? And then four former City players score goals on Saturday night. You look at Carnell's success, and you got a team that has 22 points, has scored almost 3 times as many goals in Philadelphia that City has scored this season. And there's frustration there as well. It kind of reminds me a little bit of what we've seen in St. Louis with the Cardinals over the last handful of years, where you see a lot of players leave and have a lot of success. But it seems to be just really kind of in your face right now in this league, especially with the success that Carnell has had as well. And I was a Carnell fan. I didn't hate the firing just because something needed to happen, I think, and when you have that situation, it's like you tend to just look at the manager there and like, let's switch things up. I was a Hack guy. I thought that Hack was good, and hey, it's like, we'll bring in Olaf and we'll see how things go. And it seems like just a wildly different style with players that weren't necessarily built for that style is how it looks to me. Somebody that clearly doesn't have the same eye that you two have, but that's how it, I view it. So it is frustrating. It's frustrating to see players leave and have success. It's frustrating to see a coach leave and have success. And then see what we've got going on here. The team just can't score. They can't sustain success for 90 minutes. It's not happening. And I don't know what is going to change week over week. It's the same talent. You can plug and play a couple of key, parts or what have you from the game coming up with San Diego on Saturday versus what we saw in Seattle. But for all intents and purposes, it's going to be essentially the same squad, and they'll probably struggle to score again. To your point, like they can go out there and get a couple. They did it against Galaxy earlier this year. That's the thing. What did they score? 3 in that game, right? 8 goals in 11 games with 3 of them coming in one of them, right? Like that's just not going to cut it. You're not going to be able to win.
No. And the other thing too is, I keep seeing like Lutz say, it's tough. We got a lot of injuries and all that type of stuff, but why are injuries affecting like the full style of play? Like it's just the same style, and really, you can't really say like we're missing many players outside of, on the attacking end, can you? I mean, we got Klaus, Hartle, Teutschert, Celio's available. I know Leuven's coming back, and it's going to take him a while to get back up to fitness and everything like that. But up until last night, was Saturday night, you had Ostrak back in there. Like, who really? I mean, Alm, sure, but who really outside of the big offensive threat is keeping us from playing a more pressing style or a more fluid forward running style? I feel like right now we're almost missing more pieces on the defensive end with like Kessler and Tots. Like I just feel like and then the other thing too is he says, it's tough when you're missing a lot of players. And I get talent wise, but why does that mean weren't these players still brought in to play this, free flowing style of play? And I don't want to go back to the full on press, run at them until, you can't anymore type of style. But sitting back and just absorbing pressure, hoping that you can, that's the other thing I see that we're getting back to more and more each week is this dump it over the top and chase. Like, it's never been successful for us. So what are we going to why is that our fallback plan? I'm just really confused that each week I'm struggling more and more to see I don't know what he's going for here. I don't know what formation we're in. I don't know what he's asking of these guys. And then like I said, I could be overreading it, but if I'm seeing that little signs of that, maybe even from the players, that's where it's a worry going forward.
I'll say as far as injuries go, and I'm by no means giving them a pass for this because everybody's got injuries, but when you are missing so many key cogs, the problem is you're missing a Kessler and you're missing a Tots and you're missing a Leuven. Everybody else in the starting lineup has to shift to a different role. So Cello's then got to start playing more of a deep defensive midfielder, and that's not his role. So now you don't, and then all like Tots is out, so now you don't have the outlet down the right that you trust to go forward with the ball. So Kessler's out. Well, now you don't have the distributor and the right center back, and you've got to move Hebert back there, and Yara, who are not distributors. So I'm not giving them a pass, but I could see. I guess I could see the vapor, the mirage of what they're trying to do if they have their full starting 11. But adjustments have to be made. You're a third of the way through the season, and there's no signs of life or any sort of outside of the second half against LAFC when they went to that back four and started to open up a little bit. There's no seemingly there's no willingness to change it up, and I think that's the most frustrating. I don't have a problem as a fan investing in a team if I think they're on the upswing, and we're going to support this club either way. But you don't want to support, you don't want to be the Cubs from 1908 to 2016, right? Like you don't want to be a sucker. So I want my expectations and my passion to be matched by what I see on the field. And I don't see any fieriness from the manager. I don't hear what I want to hear from the sporting director when you have a horrendous run of games. Like, Carnell got sacked after a run of about 10 games. And it was right in June. Was it June? Because it was right before the summer transfer window opened.
Somebody put it out the other day, like the stats of where Carnell got fired, and right now Olaf's trending.
Yeah,
lower
and they
he did have a full season previously, though. I mean,
at this point, who cares? Like,
yeah, I agree.
It's not like you're going to go from a bottom of the barrel team. You have no signs of getting better, and
right.
Do you really want to wait out the whole summer? I mean, you talk about bottoming out, like. I think that's the main reason that Carnell got fired last year. I think that all things being equal, if Carnell hadn't gone on that horrendous run, what didn't they go like 7 games without a win or 8 games without a win, something like that. And it was kind of like, okay, like unless you want this to be a lost season, he's got to go. And you had the guy in Hack waiting in the wings who was embedded with the team. It's like, all right, we can at least be a competitive team with Hack at the helm. This isn't a competitive team, and I'm not. The Chelsea fan in me doesn't want to see a manager get sacked halfway through his first season, but at the same time, you can't waste a year. I think it's absurd. I don't think anybody is above being held accountable, whether it's player or coach or sporting director or GM. And listen, Lutz and Diego have to wear this too, man. Like they're the ones that put this roster together and then brought in a defensive minded coach because they wanted to shore up the defense. Okay, you shored up the defense for the first 5 games. What the hell happened now? Now all of a sudden the defense is Swiss cheese at the back because you can't hold the ball because they're defending for 70, 75 minutes a game. So everybody's got blood on their hands at this point. And as fans, the only way that we can make our voices heard and hold them accountable is to not show up.
Well, that's what's going to happen. That's the reality. If this continues, which again, I don't see it changing. I'm really curious to see what the crowd is going to look like, July 5th, July 13th, July 9th, going ahead, right? Like looking into the midsummer months when it's 100 degrees outside, like what are tickets going to look like then? What's the crowd going to look like then? Yeah, there's not going to be 22,000 there. There's just no way. Not at the pace that we're trending. And I would be surprised if it was 100% full this Saturday against San Diego.
So
I
next, go ahead, Cole. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just think to the point, you lose. I think you lose the fans if they're just you're seeing what you're seeing, where it's just the same week, the same story, the same sort of style. Like to your point, look at the LAFC. He made one little shift, and look how big of a difference and how excited everybody got. It was why not give that another go? Why not? What do you got to lose at this point? I think that's where I'm the same as you, Dave. Like we've both been through it as far as Man U and Chelsea. Like we know that and we're seeing it kind of clearly right now. Like grass isn't always greener on the other side when you just, unfortunately, it is always typically the manager, the first head on the block to go whenever things aren't going right. But so it doesn't mean like bringing in somebody else is going to make that big of a difference. But if I'm Olaf, I'm thinking, hey, like 5 games in a row, we've lost the same way it feels like, or we've tied the same way. And there's just not like, at what point does he decide to just go for it? Like, I'm going to just switch it up and, throw the cards at the wall and just see what happens. And like, just give us a game. Like, I don't care if San Diego comes in here, which they really could, because they have this high flying offense right now, and they could, spank us 4 or 5-0. But if you go out there and give me an excitement where we're at least putting it to them and going for it a little bit, that's where the thing that just drives me nuts is like this constant, like, let's just absorb as long as we can and hope we catch one. And if we catch one, then we'll just really shore it back. Like we saw against Seattle, how much that can burn you by a simple, like, dumb penalty. Like and then we're making also just dumber mistakes, like, honestly, I think we're pretty lucky to get the penalty we did. Like I think Chris Gebhardt put it out. Like if that first penalty that was awarded for us was against us, we'd all be yelling at the TVs like, you've got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? So, like, I felt we were pretty lucky in getting that. And then also, like, it really was a terrible PK taken by Hartle. Like, Fry even moves just a little bit to the opposite side. That's an easy catch in there. So
I was yelling at the TV. I was yelling at the TV before Hartle took the PK because I was like, I know what it's going to be. And it's like, I mean, obviously Leuven wasn't on the field at the time, but I just prefer watching Leuven take them. I like when people just kick the ball really hard, and you know what you're going to get with Hartle. He makes a lot of them, but I never feel good about it,
Yeah, and then, to your guys' point that we kind of touched on earlier, just the mindset even when we're in elite, like, what are we even touching the guy there for? He's almost drifting back away from the box. Even if he wraps his hips around it, there's not going to be as much power on that. And if he gets it by it, like, what are we even making contact for in the box? Just stay in front of the guy, shift your feet, and make sure you get a block on the shot. Like, and then it just sucks to feel like when we go down, it's tied. You just don't feel this feeling anymore like we're still in it. And it's starting to show like the players almost don't even feel like we're still in it when we go down a goal. It's just kind of like, all right, let's just try and get out of here with a tie again. It's like, man, why do we have that mindset? Because really from that second penalty, or the penalty that they got, I can't think of many moments that I'm thinking of a bright spot on there. The only one that I can kind of find some excitement for out there was, I thought Xande Silva looked exciting. Like in the few minutes that he got out there, he looked pacey. He looked like he had some dribbling skills. Unfortunately, when he did get out there, I was just so like over it at that point that it was hard to really enjoy him. But like, it does feel like he could have some excitement out there, but he could have some excitement out there if he's given the freedom to do what I think he could be excited for. Same with Celio. Like, if we're just playing this constant, like, defend block style, like, you won't see those guys flourish the way that I think they truly can.
Yeah, I guess Celio was being inexplicably punished for that turnover, which, you know, whatever. If that's what you have to do, I think you lost a ton of your enthusiasm for play, and it was definitely missed. I think that the main reason that these guys, their head goes down when they concede a goal and it's tied or you go down one is because you, at any given time, out of 11 players, have 6 that don't belong on the first team in this team right now. I mean, that's just a fact. Like, you've got 2 backs that don't belong in the first team. You've got at least 1 or 2 midfielders that don't belong in the first team, you know, and, you know, you're not getting, you know, we've been a pretty big Klaus apologist, but Saturday was not one of his better games, and neither was Teutschert. So, you know, I don't know, man. I read somewhere where Olaf weighs a lot of training results when he picks his sides, but, you know, at some point you just got to put the best players out there and let them go.
Tough to pick your side in training if they're constantly getting hurt on your training.
Well, and Ostrak goes down, so that's another guy, which I don't
he
know,
said
man.
post conference that he makes it seem like it was just more he was fatigued and it was like he makes it seem like it's not going to be
it's just the fact that he still can't go 90 after, you know, 2 years after that ankle injury, and I know it wasn't an ankle, but still. So, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule because I'm thinking about Olaf Melberg and I'm thinking about the next 7 games. You have an 11-day break after you play the LA Galaxy on Saturday afternoon, June 14th. And in that time, you've got Omaha that you can win. I'm not even going to say you should win.
I mean, you've got to win. You've got to win that game.
I'm telling you, I'm honestly looking at this run. So you got Omaha, San Diego, Kansas City. Those are all 3 at home. Then you got Minnesota and Colorado on the road, San Jose at home, Portland on the road, Galaxy at home. I only see one game there where I'm confident about a win. Kansas City, you're an underdog at this point.
I think if he doesn't, I think he really is struggling if he doesn't get a result against Kansas City at home.
I don't think that they cut him loose then, but I think
you're right. I think they wait that period, but I think almost the deciding factor really will be. Remember, was it Carnot, I believe, where they said something like, had he won that game, he would have kept his job.
Was that the one where they were up and it was against somebody, they were up by a goal or 2 and they dropped points?
I think it was something like that, but I remember Lude's post game. They asked,
which is a terrible. Like, really, it was one game. It came down to one game.
No, I agree, but who knows? Maybe that could be the whole Olaf thing, to where it's like, you know, hey, we're expecting you to. Maybe they go to him and maybe they're pointing out the schedule. Look, you got these 5 games. Yeah, we expect this out of that. Like,
all I know is if they're not having a conversation right now, they're not doing their jobs, and I can see a world where he doesn't make it out of May, because you got 6 games in May, and I can see a world where he doesn't make it out of May.
I agree, because I mean, the reality is this: Colorado and Minnesota are both going to be really tough, playing both on the road in the middle and the end of May.
San Diego's going to be brutal.
San Diego will be hard, albeit
Portland's going to be Portland's in June.
But I realistically, if you come out of this, regardless of what happens on Wednesday night against Union Omaha, realistically that should be a win, and they should score goals in that game. We'll see, but I mean that's the reality. Should happen when you resume MLS play this Saturday, and then you go Wednesday against SKC after that. Both games at home, May 14th. If you come out of there with 0 points and maybe a goal or 2. In those 2 matches, I think that things are being really heavily discussed at that point going into the Minnesota game. That's how I would read the situation.
Oh, yeah. I could see Minnesota being the end.
I agree.
Also, the last game.
I also say this, hoping positively that, you know, we do get a result this Wednesday against Union Omaha. you put all your eggs in that Open Cup basket if things start going the way throughout that month of May.
See, I don't think they're going to.
I don't either, but I mean, we're already 5 points out of a 9th spot, and it's growing. So I mean, this is going to be a very important month for Olaf, I would say. I'm curious because you guys are big betting guys. They do it a lot in the Premier League. Are there odds put out as far as like betting odds, as far as like first managers to go? And they have it for the Premier League like every year, like first managers to get sacked and stuff like that. Do they do that for MLS?
I'm not sure anybody at DraftKings or FanDuel knows who the managers are in the MLS, to be honest with you. So I don't think you're going to find that.
Look at that. Brendan McSorley is most likely to be sacked first as manager.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing you can bet on that. You can really bet on anything in this country.
I think it's time at this point to just put a bow on this. We could harp on things all night about the disappointments. Unfortunately,
can we put a bow on it, or can we put a trash bag on it? Like,
put a trash bag on it.
Is it time to pull? Well, not a trash bag, but is it time to pull out the Saints, like the paper bags?
If we started showing up with paper bags over there, maybe they would get the point. I don't know. That would be interesting.
I think LA Galaxy's at that point right now.
It might be about that time, boys.
Yet, so
might be about that time. The paper bags might need to make an appearance in the South End.
Wow, that would be nice. I think the North End would hate that. I feel like they would really, really hate that. But it would be fun, I think. Regardless,
I do got one more thing to say.
You go ahead, Eric.
Like
please.
I know we've joked about it like earlier and that type of stuff. Yeah, zap me. We talked about it a lot last year though. Like I know we're all looking like tigers at this point, but earn your stripe. Stay by this team. Don't just leave this team and not become a fan or follow them. I know we joke about like whatever it is, and I don't care if you decide to not go to games and that's your way of like letting the ownership know, but still support the team at home wherever you are. Like earn your stripe, because when the days do come, who knows when it'll be, we may be a Cubs team where it takes us years. That win is going to be so much greater. The last thing, and my point is, I don't want to start seeing like all of a sudden these Miami fans or these, name MLS team here. Like, don't jump ship and just start leaving. Like, still stick by your team through the good and the bad. And I know it's terrible, and I'm hoping this is rock bottom, but like, this is your team. You earn your.
I don't want to see a bunch of Kansas City fans at that game on Wednesday night.
Oh,
that's I have a very strong suspicion that we might. I think maybe the only thing that's saving us from that being a lot more like the reverse fixture when the City fans were to them is that it's on a Wednesday night. By the way, did you see their win last night? The first team in MLS history to ever win a game without recording a shot on goal.
I didn't see how they got it. What was it, a PK?
Own goal. It was an own goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw the stat line. I think it was Matt Baker put it out, and I loved his caption. He was like, I don't even know what soccer is anymore.
They had a 0.00 XG for the game, and they won 1-0 against the Galaxy. That's rock bottom. That's rock bottom.
At least they got a win, and things sound worse. Things sound worse in LA right now. But regardless, City drops 4-1, drops one 4-1, fall to 13th place now, as Eric mentioned, 5 back of that 9 spot for the last place in the Western Conference playoff picture, where FC Dallas holds that right now with 15 points. City with 8 goals, 12 given up, even the 4 that they allowed, 6 now in their last 2, but still only 12. Only 2 teams, boys, 2 teams in the Western Conference have given up less goals. That's Vancouver and Minnesota. They happen to be sitting first and second. The difference there is they score a lot more goals than St. Louis. But we will move on from that. We will have, again, Union Omaha coming up Wednesday at home. That'll be the round of 32 in the U.S. Open Cup, May 7th, a 7 p.m. kickoff. And then we will talk about on the STL Kalachi Match Week preview coming up on the Thursday episode, the San Diego game, which will kick off at 7:30 at City Park on Saturday, May 10th. Eric, how much weight did you lift this weekend after all the frustrations mounted on Saturday night?
I mean, more. I don't even have words anymore.
You seem so down. Moving. You seem so down tonight, Eric.
The weight is moving.
His dauber's down.
It is. It is down. The dauber is down, Eric. I need Thursday. I need you to. The Thursday episode, which is going to be kicked off recording-wise in about a half an hour, I'm going to need that dauber to be a little bit higher here. So if you got to listen, if you got to get over to Ready to Live Wellness to go get a pump in between episodes, I need it to happen. Eric.
That's actually a great idea. Maybe we should start scheduling these to where I get a mid-session pump at Ready to Live Wellness, because
That's so hot.
United, City, Blues, it's all hurt. I'm giving up on sports for a little bit, but I'm not giving up on my goals, and that's at Ready to Live Wellness. Whether you're looking for CrossFit, personal training, they've got Pilates coming their way. They've got you all covered no matter what your fitness needs. And all the time they're adding cool events that you can go check out. This past weekend, they just had a coffee and ruck. These guys put on weight vest, had some coffee, and just went out for a good old ruck session. It's awesome. And then coming up, we've got Memorial Day, so they're going to have their Murph where they do the Murph workout. It's a memorial workout, and then afterwards they barbecue. So they're doing cool things like that all the time as far as the fitness goes. And then you head right upstairs where they've got body movement specialists, they've got physical therapists, masseuses. It's all under one roof. It's the best place to go. And maybe I'll go there now while Dave reads his Warrior logo wear. It's Ready to Live Wellness.
That's Ready to Live Wellness at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard. If you are looking to get swole like Eric Cole, you got to check out Ready to Live Wellness. Dave, I was at my softball game on Friday night. I went 1 for 3, legged out an infield single. I can't hit the ball in the air. I don't know why. I can't figure it out. It's so frustrating. The other thing that was frustrating is the team we played, their team name was the Kids. And I was like, okay, it's probably going to be a young group. And they were. They were like in their mid-20s for the most part. And there's a difference athletically in someone that's 39 to 45, let's say, is probably our core nucleus, than there is with 23 to like 27-year-olds. And we got demolished. But I will say this. Had the Warrior logo wear jersey on, right? Somebody comes up to me before the game, says, hey, where did you get the jersey at? And I was like, well, it's funny you ask. We got him from Warrior logo wear, and I kind of nudged him, and I said, by the way, no hidden fees either. And the person was like, that's amazing. I don't like hidden fees. I said, I don't either. I didn't know how they were going to react to it, but they seemed to react well. So I think Warrior logo wear might have gotten themselves a new customer and super excited about nothing hidden.
That was quite the conversation you had with with that teammate. I guarantee you guys may have lost the game, but you won the fashion war.
Agreed.
And that's the most important. It's all about the drip. It's all about the skibbity riz. That's what it's all about. You know, you're not there to play softball. You're there to look good. And if you want to look good, and if you want, last week we talked about it, Eric was talking about going and having some weight therapy. If you want retail therapy, if you want swag therapy, you go to Warrior logo wear at 12 East Main Street, Muscuda, Illinois, for all your individual and team sportswear needs. Chris and the crew are a proud veteran-owned business that bring the same dedication, discipline, and attention to detail from their service time to every single one of your projects. They will meet tight deadlines and get your product out to your events, to your customers on time. Looks great, durable. Nobody better. Nobody best in the business. Warrior logo wear. They can help you set up an online store featuring your logo or a logo they help you design. No order minimums. It's the perfect way. It's the perfect fit for any size company or event where you need to outfit it with swag. So check them out on Instagram at Warrior logo wear. That's all lowercase letters, folks. On Twitter, it's at Warrior logo wear, but with a capital W, capital L, capital W, or at warriorlogowear.com. Warrior logo wear, the official swag sponsor and the studio sponsor of this fine award-winning program. I don't know what awards, but we've won one.
They're mini awards, Dave. Many awards. We don't announce them because we don't like to brag on this show, right? But there's lots and lots of them, I think, that have been given out over the years. 12 East Main Street in Muscuda. My wardrobe is sponsored, I think, by Warrior logo wear. I'm wearing a lot of it right now, actually. So, and that's typically how it goes. But moving on, we've got some news and notes from the back post brought to you by Elite FT at 101 The Game Drive in Glen Carbon, Illinois, located inside the Sports Academy. I hope you two have something more exciting to talk about than the last half an hour.
Well, it's exciting to talk about Elite FT, and even though everybody who didn't sign up for any of the April camps or sessions to get and got the extra 10% off by getting a hold of me, that's fine. There's still plenty of time to sign your kids up for Bosco's Buddies if they're the little ones, the ages 2 to 3 kids in the pre-K, or any of the rec soccer programs that are specially trained or specially formed to train kids from 2nd grade to 8th grade. They've got speed agility classes, private and team training. Justin is one of the best businessmen, Granite City legend. It's the top soccer training company around. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We talked about it ad nauseum. We're thrilled that they're a partner now. So check them out at eliteft.com or search Elite FT on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So, Elite news and notes from the back post. A couple things went on this week. Some exciting things in the world of City 2. So, I need help with the name pronunciation again, guys. City's #1 draft pick, Emil Jääskeläinen.
Jääskeläinen.
See, I nailed it. He got named
Emil Jääskeläinen.
He got named Player of the Match Week in MLS Next Pro. He had his first professional goal, and he had 2 assists in a 3-1 win over the Houston Dynamo at Energizer Park. So how about that? How about draft picks lighting it up in MLS Next Pro? Big stuff for them. I didn't watch that game. There were 12,263 people there. That is a new MLS Next Pro record. This was a Sunday afternoon 2nd division game, and there were 12,000. There were probably more people at the City 2 game than there were at the Cardinal game. I'd make a strong bet that there were more people there.
They're going to start drawing better than the top team, it sounds like.
Somebody put it out that they were like, they thought, don't quote me on this, but they thought the last City home game, they said City 2, that record was about 5,000 off of what the last City 1 home game is. So, man,
that's incredible.
They may even have they got cooler jerseys, and now they might start drawing more. Like,
I'm still not a huge fan of the font on their jerseys. They've still got that weird, almost like a Comic Sans-y font. David, I don't know if you're familiar. You familiar with the lettering style, the numbering style?
Well, I'm not familiar with the lettering style for City 2's jerseys. I think you would like it. I was a big Comic Sans user on AIM back in the day. Yes. I'm going to look it up right now.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's the same lettering and font that they've had on their jerseys for 3 years. And I love the blue, but yeah, the font can go away.
It looks a little semi-pro-ish, like
exactly, right? Like a little hacky.
Looks a little,
yeah. So it looked like it's something we'd see on Thursday night, Eric. Quite honestly, yeah.
I don't see. I don't see. Oh, you mean the font on the back of the jersey, the name and the numbers? Okay,
yes.
I'm gonna look at it. I'm looking it up.
Which, by the way, Eric, and shout out to our Warriors FC Thursday night team, we pulled out of the fire a 2-2 draw with a set piece with less than 10 seconds left to go. It was incredible. We ran a dummy run set piece with 10 seconds left in a Thursday night over 30 men's league, and it worked perfectly. It was incredible.
This made news and notes this week?
It's arguably the biggest thing that happened in soccer this week. It's a light week. What can I say? So, so shout out to City 2 and those guys. That's kind of it for news and notes from the back post, brought to you by Elite FT, unless Eric had something else that he wanted to add.
I will say before Eric chimes in, I can't find a picture of the back of this jersey anywhere, and it's driving me crazy.
Gosh. It's just
you just look, if you go to their
hang on,
any of their socials, you can see like in the goal. You can kind of see it within the goal celebration on Jay Reed, which, by the way, Jay Reed getting minutes to City 2, that's exciting as well. Like,
it is exciting.
I'll say that. Like, that's. I also saw, I think Alm was on the bench for them starting.
I know JGR was too. I were talking about JGR.
Yeah,
I mean, with City 2 also.
I think the name's too small. I think the name's too small. I think that's what it is. I don't hate the number. The name is too small.
Yeah.
No, the number. you're right on that. I feel like it definitely, even though I love them more, almost like it's almost like Premier League and then Championship. Like you just notice the difference in the font on the back of the jerseys a lot of times.
I will
Yeah.
not have you sully the name of the championship after this last weekend. That was
the championship is
incredible.
the championship's becoming more exciting than the Premier
It
League. I can't wait for the
absolutely
playoffs.
is.
Just wait till
Yeah,
Wrexham's.
absolutely.
Just wait till Wrexham's in it.
Oh man!
Oh,
and
man,
I
tell you what,
watched
even their
I watched,
division. The
I watched
what is it,
Final
League
Day.
Two?
I watched Final Day for Championship, League One, and League Two, and I got more pumped about teams that I don't really know and players that I've never heard of before scoring these. Bradford City. Okay, the story of the weekend in English football is Bradford City. Did you see this, Eric, at all? Did you see any of the
Yeah,
Bradford City?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
David, it's like they're down. I think it was either tied or they were down one. I think it was tied, like 96th minute. They had 7 minutes of added time, and Bradford City score. And the deal was, if Bradford City scored, they were getting promoted from League Two to League One.
Yeah.
They score. There's a minute left on the clock. The fans invade the pitch.
Oh
So
my god!
thousands of fans on the pitch, and there's still a minute left to go. Meanwhile, the guy that scores gets a second yellow, gets a red card. So now they've got thousands of people on the pitch. They're down to 10 men, and the stewards. I don't know if you ever watched an English game with this, where they have the stewards that are all wearing like the reflective vests, and they're supposed to be there to try to keep the people off the field, but they can't actually manhandle anyone.
You can't stop
So
thousands
it's just
of people. Yeah.
it's like running by a bunch of Paul Blarts is what it is. So yeah, thousands of people on the field. They get them off the pitch finally. The referee blows the whistle again, inexplicably, and they run back on the pitch. So then they
my
have to do
God.
it again. So they finally got everybody off. They were down to 10 men. The other team kicks off. There's about 30 seconds. They blow it. Bradford City goes to League One for the first time in like 15 years or something like that. But yeah, that was the most exciting moment of the weekend, soccer-wise.
Especially the way this year's going. Like, you're obviously glad, like, I guess, that the MLS doesn't have that pro rel, but you can't replicate that sort of excitement of being promoted to the next level. Like
it's like college football. That's what it's the closest replica. The closest thing we have is college football to me.
I've made so many comparisons to the atmosphere too. I think the atmospheres are similar. It's the only soccer and college football are very similar atmospherically, with the drums and the music and the chanting and stuff that's going on.
But championship, like, to me, almost like those atmospheres just seem so much, because the fans, like, I don't know, like, you could tell they're diehards. Whereas the Premier League, you probably get a lot of like tourists, like if we were to go over there, like it'd be like us there. The championship, like, you don't get as many like tourists going to those types of games, but like seeing what it means. To me, still one of the greatest like goal scoring moments of all time was that Deeney against Leicester City to be promoted. Like,
oh my
that
God,
to me,
yes.
You can't replicate. Like, I can't watch that video without ever getting chills. Like, you can't replicate what a goal like that and being promoted. You're talking about millions upon millions of dollars with your team getting into a higher level. Like, I can't really, like, we can't. I don't know.
That moment is not.
That
moment's
like
not repeatable.
Going to MLS, like, you can't on a last minute goal. Like, you just can't.
On a last minute goal to where the other team had a PK to go up.
Yeah.
In stoppage time, missed it. You go end to end and score. You can't.
Double save.
Yeah, you can't replicate
one of the
that.
Greatest goals of all time.
Yes,
yeah.
but that was awesome. It was that. If you just narrow it down to that soccer weekend, we could have been fine. That'd have been just fine. Basically, everybody but City had a good weekend.
And United.
Everybody that mattered but City had a good weekend.
And United. Please let them matter. Jesus Christ. I want this to be so bad.
That's elite news and notes from the back post is where those news and notes come from, guys. At 101 The Game Drive, Glen Carbon, Illinois, inside the Sports Academy. That is where you will find Elite FT. Eric, where can people follow us at?
Yeah, check us out on all our socials. On Instagram, we're South End Supporters. Our Twitter and our Reddit is _SES_podcast STL. Make sure you're following us on our Facebook page, as well as subscribed and liking our YouTube channel to keep up with all things South End Supporters.
Remember, we will have a second episode, as always, coming up on Thursday, where we'll get into the STL Kalachi Match Week preview. And then, of course, Felix's Pizza Pub, South End Submissions, which will come at the back half of that episode. But for this one, we'll go ahead and sign off until Thursday for Eric Cole for the Monday Morning Center back, Dave Wyckoff. My name is David Heck. You've been listening to South End Supporters. We'll see you next week. And until then, let's go City.